Karen's laugh was a chainsaw, loud and grating, slicing through the quiet of my cul-de-sac like she owned the place. She stood there, hands on her hips, her oversized sunglasses perched on her nose, declaring my garage her personal parking lot. It was a Tuesday evening, and I, Tom Reynolds, a guy who just wanted a beer and some peace after a 12-hour shift, found myself staring at two monstrous pickup trucks wedged into my garage, which I leased to the county sheriff for overflow evidence storage. Karen, my neighbor of 6 months, had always been a walking caricature of entitlement. She was the kind of woman who'd yell at baristas for not smiling enough while demanding a free latte for her inconvenience. At 300 pounds, she carried her weight like a badge of superiority, her voice booming with complaints about everyone else's existence. Today, she'd outdone herself. Without a word, she'd rolled her twin gas guzzlers into my garage, claiming she needed extra space for her business deliveries. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream when I saw her strutting back to her McMansion across the street, oblivious to the chaos she'd caused. "Karen," I shouted, storming out of my house, my work boots still caked in construction dust. "What the hell are you doing parking in my garage?" She turned, her lips curling into a smirk that could curdle milk. "Oh, Tom, relax. It's just for a day. My driveway's full, and you don't even use that garage. It's practically public property." Public property? My blood boiled. That garage wasn't just some empty shed, it was under contract with the county sheriff's office. A side hustle I'd worked out to store impounded vehicles and evidence overflow. The deal was simple. I provided secure space. They paid me a tidy sum, and nobody messed with it. Karen didn't know that. Of course. She never asked questions. She just assumed the world bent to her whims. "Get those trucks out," I said, voice low, trying to keep my temper in check. "You didn't ask, and you're trespassing." She laughed again, that grating cackle, and waved a manicured hand. "Trespassing? Please. I'm doing you a favor by filling that dusty old space. Besides, who's gonna care? You." The neighbor across the street, Mrs. Delaney, poked her head out her window, her gray curls bouncing as she eavesdropped. I could feel her judgment from 50 feet away, probably torn between her dislike for Karen and her love for drama. I didn't care. This wasn't about gossip. This was about principle. Karen had crossed a line, and I wasn't about to let her waddle away scot-free. "Karen, I'm giving you one chance to move them," I said, stepping closer. "Or I call the sheriff." Her eyes narrowed, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of doubt. But then she doubled down, puffing out her chest. "Go ahead. Call your little sheriff. I'm not scared of some small-town cop. I pay taxes, Tom. More than you, I bet." That was it. I pulled out my phone and dialed Sheriff Daniels, a no-nonsense guy who'd been my buddy since high school. He was at the station, just a mile away, and when I explained the situation, his voice crackled with amusement. "Karen again. Sit tight, Tom. I'm on my way." 5 minutes later, Daniel's patrol car rolled up, lights flashing but siren off. Karen's smug grin faltered as he stepped out, his badge glinting under the streetlights. He was a big guy, 6'2", with a stare that could make a pit bull back down. Mrs. Delaney's curtains twitched harder now, and I swear I saw her grab her phone to start texting the neighborhood group chat. "Evening, Tom," Daniels said, tipping his hat. Then he turned to Karen, who was already launching into her defense. Officer, this is ridiculous. I'm just borrowing the garage for one day. Tom's blowing this out of proportion. Daniels raised an eyebrow, glancing at the trucks. Ma'am, that garage is leased to the county for official use. You've parked on government property without authorization. That's not borrowing. That's theft of space. Karen's face went from smug to scarlet. Theft? You can't be serious. It's just a garage. It's a secure facility. Daniels corrected, pulling out his notepad. And those trucks. They're now part of an active investigation site. I'm going to need you to stay right there while I run this. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, like a fish gasping for air. I almost felt bad for her almost. But the memory of her cackling about my dusty old garage kept my sympathy in check. Daniels walked over to the trucks, peering inside. One had a pile of cardboard boxes stacked in the bed, the other a tarp covering something bulky. He jotted down notes, then called for backup on his radio. Backup? Karen squeaked. For what? I didn't do anything. Daniels didn't answer. He was too busy inspecting the trucks, his flashlight sweeping over the license plates. I leaned against my porch, arms crossed, watching the show unfold. Mrs. Delaney was now fully out her door, pretending to water her already soaked petunias while straining to hear every word. The second patrol car arrived, and Deputy Lopez stepped out, a young officer with a reputation for being thorough. She joined Daniels, and they started photographing the trucks. Karen's bravado was crumbling fast. She started pacing, muttering about small-town power trips and lawsuits. I caught Daniels' eye, and he gave me a subtle nod, like he was saying, "This is going to be good." "Ma'am," Lopez said, holding up a clipboard. "These plates don't match the registration for vehicles you own. Care to explain?" Karen froze. "What? That's impossible. Those are my trucks." "Then you won't mind us taking a look inside," Daniels said, not asking. He popped the door of the first truck, and the smell hit us like a brick wall rotting fruit, mixed with something chemical. The boxes in the bed weren't just junk. They were stuffed with knockoff designer handbags, the kind you see sold out of shady vans. The tarp on the second truck covered a stack of unlabeled crates, and when Lopez lifted it, I saw plastic jugs filled with some kind of liquid. Counterfeit goods and unregistered chemicals, Daniels said, shaking his head. "Karen, you're in deep. This is a setup," she shrieked, pointing at me. "He's framing me. Tom set this up." I laughed. Couldn't help it. "Lady, I just wanted my garage back. You did this to yourself." The neighbors were out in full force now, a small crowd of 5 or 6 whispering behind their fences. Mrs. Delaney was live tweeting. Probably, her phone glowing in the dusk. Karen's face was a mask of panic as Daniels cuffed her, reading her rights in a calm, practiced tone. The trucks were impounded, towed away by a county rig that showed up just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The garage was mine again, but the victory felt bittersweet. As they loaded Karen into the patrol car, she kept yelling, "I'll sue. You'll all pay for this." But her voice was smaller now. Less chainsaw, more whimper. Daniels tipped his hat to me again as he climbed into his car. "Good call, Tom. We'll handle it from here." I watched them drive off, the red and blue lights fading into the night. Mrs. Delaney shuffled over, her watering can still dripping. "Well," she said, "that's what she gets for thinking she owns the world." I nodded. too tired to say much. Karen's downfall wasn't just about the trucks or the garage. It was about a woman who thought she could bulldoze everyone else's boundaries and walk away unscathed. She'd built a life on entitlement. And tonight, it crumbled under the weight of her own choices. The sheriff's lease meant my garage was a trap she never saw coming. And her arrogance was the bait. I went inside, cracked open that beer, and sat on my couch, staring at the empty garage through the window. It wasn't just about space or money or even justice. It was about standing up to someone who thought they were untouchable. Karen learned the hard way. You can't park your chaos in someone else's life and expect to drive away clean.